Hey, sorry for the late response. I was just uploading a video that I had made, just me telling jokes or whatever, and I didn't even realize that there were comments on my SAS video that I had made. Yes, I do live in Canada, and I have had experience dealing with SAS on multiple occasions. Not only from taking Tavina, but for a quick update, since people are asking, Tavina is now 17 months old. I've had her since the day she was born. We spent a week in Aurelia Hospital where she went through withdrawals and she was in an oxygen tank thingy. Okay, it's not a tank, but like an oxygen thingy. She was in there. Um, she again is 17 months. She can't walk, she can't talk, she can't eat. She can eat purees. It can't be anything with chunks. Now she's starting to refuse the purees, so that's really not good. She has 6 different specialists. We're waiting on genetic testing. um it's been difficult, and especially with COVID going on, don't have the support that I would normally have, to be able to take like a night off, a date night, whatever, um, just to kind of get away. As bad as that sounds, but you know what? Every mother needs it, so I don't care. um, so it's been challenging, but she's excelling in different things. Her motor skills, even though she's not walking, she's crawling. Um, she really likes Dora. If Dora's on, if like say like it's dead silent in the house and like she's crawling around on the floor and she's playing with her toys or whatever, if you put Dora on the TV or you put it on your phone or whatever, if you put it on your phone, you're sitting on the couch, like she'll come right to you, turn your phone and everything just so she can watch it. Like she's very much into Dora. Um, and recently she just started clapping. She won't clap when you clap. Like when you're like, hey, come on, like clap. Like she won't. She just kind of claps on her own. So that's kind of frustrating. Um, but she is like excelling in some things. Um, but no speech yet. She just screeches like a pterodactyl. And we've spoken with the speech therapist, and we're trying to um, get her to talk, but we mimic words. Whatever, even if she sounds like she's making a word, we mimic it, or we, sit in front of her and mum, or dad, or baba, nums, something. She doesn't mimic it back yet. So we're still hoping and waiting on results. I'm going to move on to the SAS part. Somebody commented, and I don't want to mention names. You asked if we could exchange numbers, and I am more than happy to talk with anybody that needs help with Children's Aid, or needs to know um, what their boundaries are, and what your rights are, because you have rights, and a lot of the SAS just bullies, and they cannot. And as long as you know your rights, you can stand your ground, because as long as you're in the right, they can't do shit. There are some good SAS workers, I will say that. There are some. One of them from close to where I'm from. I'm not going to give her last name, but Justine, she was really good. She still has been really good. She's very good at her job, and she doesn't try and bully nor anything like that. But I have dealt with SAS workers who don't know their fucking head from their ass. But anyways, if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me over Facebook. My name is the same on Facebook as it is on here. Although I had to create like 3 different accounts because my first Facebook got shut down. The one I'm using now, it's a picture of me and my husband. I'm in my wedding dress. He's in a white shirt and black pants. But feel free to message me on Facebook. We can exchange numbers, whatever you would like. I can help you if that's what you want. And yes, I am from Canada. Um, but just knowing your rights, knowing what they can and cannot do, different things, and even in different situations. I was involved with SAS willingly when I was pregnant with my first son. So I got involved, I think I was about 6 months pregnant, maybe 5 or 6 months pregnant. I got involved for extra support, right? That's what everybody told me. Like, it was all like, they'll support you and whatever, like they'll help you. Um, and then it turned into a protection case. Like, she changed it into a protection case because she showed up. Oh my gosh, I don't even remember now. It was like so long ago. Connor wasn't born yet, but she showed up and my dog had ripped apart the garbage. But we literally, my mom was at work and I was in my bedroom, which was in the basement. And the door was closed and everything. I honestly had no idea what had happened. But anyway, she ended up turning it into a protection case, and it stayed like that for 5 years. But it changed. Each protection always started changing, right? First it was, the house, and it was the dog ripping apart the garbage and whatever else, and how that was so unsafe and blah 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 blah. And then it turned into, well, you're in an abusive relationship. And looking back now, I can see, yes, that was a concern and whatever. She did threaten to take my children. I had Connor and Aiden at that point. I hadn't had Taylor yet. But she did threaten to take my children. And I told her that she better bring a fucking SWAT team because I wasn't going down without a fight. And she didn't take my children. But looking back, I can see why. Like, I was in an abusive relationship, and it was obviously not healthy for me or the kids. But if honestly, like, just knowing your rights, just knowing like where you stand and everything is honestly like, so yeah. They, like, again, I can't bash every single SAS worker. There are some who do good, who actually like want to help kids and whatever, and go about it in the right way, right? Like, there's all different situations, and all different situations call for different kinds of measures, right? Like, and you don't need SAS in your life if, every time they walk in, you've got dishes in your sink or whatever else, because that's just a normal mom thing, especially when you have more than one kid. But to be quite honest, I find it a lot harder with one than I did with my three. And I don't know if that's because I'm older now or what, but I find it a lot harder. But definitely, like, just knowing your, like, your rights and everything, it makes it easier. With my situation with Tavina, it was different because my entire family raised my sister, right? Like, they grew up with her, or she grew up around them, whatever, right? So they all already knew, and she was already diagnosed with intellectual disabilities and learning disorders and whatnot. So, she likes to say that she understands and she comprehends and whatever, but she doesn't. And that is extremely frustrating all on its own, because I am doing everything in my power to make sure that Tavina has everything she needs and everything she wants, although she doesn't want for much right now. But making sure all of her needs are met and all of her appointments and everything, and that is very struggling on a day-to-day basis. My other three children are at home doing homeschooling because of COVID. So that's put extra pressure on. I'm in school as well. That's put extra pressure on. But SAS hasn't been involved since 2 months after Tavina was born. They don't have a problem with my parenting, and they didn't have a problem with my house. I provide a very much stable environment now, so they had no issues. Their only issue would have been if Keely like, if they hadn't have stepped in or whatever, and Keely had Tavina, they would have they would have obviously been involved a lot until they took her. But they didn't have to. She signed her over to me. Since then, it's been a struggle. She came for a couple of visits, and then there were excuses. She didn't have money for a cab. She was sick, whatever. And then once COVID hit, I said, no, sorry, house is on lockdown. Like, we don't have anybody over. And I offered her video chats and whatever. She didn't want them. But she still feels the need to go around and tell people that, you know, I stole her baby and I did this and I'm such a horrible person and whatever, when in all reality, that's not what happened. But I really don't care who wants to talk shit. So, but definitely, for the people who, have reached out and who, have asked for my help or just to listen if that's all you need, or some advice on how to handle certain situations with them. I'm more than willing to talk with you and to do that. I know, you know, what I'm allowed to do and what I'm not allowed to do. One of the biggest things is discipline. SAS tells you that you can't hit your children, and coming right from an OPP's officer's mouth, you may smack your child's ass until the age of 12. That is when it's considered abuse. You may not smack your child and leave marks and bruises, obviously, but you can, and for discipline. And for those of you who are like, oh, they're just scared of you and you're not doing anything, and you know, you give them a 2-minute timeout. Listen, okay, Karen? You raise your kids the way you want to. I'll raise the kid my way, okay? Because my way, my kids aren't running around, you know, doing whatever the hell they want and thinking that, you know, I'm their friend. Okay? No, I'm their parent. And you can ask any one of my children, and they will tell you how much they love me. Has nothing to do with being afraid, has nothing to do with any of that. So, it's all about, you know, boundaries, and I survived the wooden spoon. So, and I had one broken over my ass. Broken. So, and I didn't consider it abuse. It was not abuse, as so many people have said to me in the last little bit, and it's been very frustrating, but it's not abuse. It's discipline. A swat on the ass with a freaking wooden spoon or a freaking hand, whatever, it's discipline. I don't use wooden spoons personally, but, you know, my grandmother and everything else were very old school. I guess I'm lucky it wasn't a belt. Like, and I love my mom and my grandma and everybody else just as much now as I did back then. Has nothing to do with fear and everything to do with, I was a rebellious little asshole. And I did bad shit. So, I guess I count myself lucky that if it hadn't have been for all of that I went through, I probably wouldn't have made the changes that I made. And I probably would not be sitting in a 4-bedroom apartment with a husband and 4 kids and, you know, our dogs and everything else that we have. So I probably wouldn't be here right now. But for all you people who are still like, it's abuse, let me tell you what abuse is, okay? Abuse is when you didn't know your dad, okay? And at 8 years old, your mother decides that she's going to bring him back into the picture because she thinks that, you know, all you can talk about is a dad, so she does that. And you're raped. That's abuse, honey. And I've been through that. Do you know what? I'm not a fucking victim. But last year, I want to say it was last year, he set himself on fire with a lit cigarette. I guess he couldn't get out of bed, so he burned to death. Kind of poetic, don't you think? A little bit. Either way, Either freaking way, if you want to reach out to me, I am more than happy to help any way I can and to give you the insights on everything that I have done, every bit of information that I've been able to pick up, that I've been able to use over the years. There are just different things that you're allowed to do and different loopholes and everything else. So, all right, let me know.